The Cubs start the easiest 21-game stretch of the year with a W. Welcome into the Setup Man post-game show. Let's go, Ty. Jacked up over there in Vegas, coming in live from Vegas. And I mean, shoot, if you're coming in from Vegas, why do I not have a drink in hand? Why don't you have a drink in hand? That's the best question. That's the best question of the night right now is why are we doing this game sober? But anyway, beyond that, he's Ty Lewin. I'm Kyle Stanley. This is the Setup Man post-game show, and the Cubs win this puppy 5-2. Make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure you are commenting. Make sure you're liking. I'm going to be checking out the comments. Tygus is going to be checking out the comments. We're going to be flashing up some of your comments up on the screen here. But we want you guys to continue to engage with us. So the more that you do, the more that we just like it, right, Ty? We just like engagement. That's all it is.
We like it a lot.
I like it a lot. All right. So today, to me, Ty, was the road to 15. And I don't want to sound like I'm copying Sam Olber, but I had actually posted earlier today without watching the Locked On podcast. I had said, listen, if the Cubs go 15-6 during this stretch of baseball, they can throw out all of these. Hey, do the Cubs have the May blues? Are they cursed in May? Does the offense just always flop in May? They'll throw that all out the window. If they win 13, I'm not going to be unhappy. If they win 14, I'm not going to be unhappy. But I think if they win 15, this is going to be a phenomenal stretch of 21 games against really bad teams. And they started off the right way, 5-2 win. What were your thoughts?
It was awesome. I mean, the fact is that this team has had a stretch of what I would call, I'd be interested to see if anyone has had, it's hard probably to calculate the type of schedule the Cubs have had in comparison to other teams in history, right? Because you look at this, their actual schedule for that stretch was so significant because they battled through and they were battle tested and they fought throughout that entire schedule to feel like this team has an opportunity to have a successful 2025 campaign. And now you look at this stretch and now we get to see guys that maybe struggled a little bit, right? We talk about guys like maybe like a Ben Brown, Daniel Palencia, some of these other names that in the past have struggled quite a bit, even at the dish, right? Guys like Dansby Swanson, all these different players. Now, all of a sudden, the schedule lightens up. And I'm not even looking at this schedule saying, oh, well, they'll face a really super talented arm here or there. Like this stretch is very winnable to be at a 15-game pace. So it feels good. The team tonight, it felt like they were in it. Like it was one of those games where it was like the Marlins are just we haven't felt this yet, dude. We haven't felt like facing a team like this where you're like, this team offers nothing on the offensive side, and we just had to wake up. Had to.
And just a few recapped moments of this game, just so those of you that did not watch get a chance to look at this. So first of all, Cubs go 5-8-0, Miami 2-7-0. Cubs now, according to a fan friend of ours, Will, I'm just going to go ahead and trust him, 19-1 when they hit their opponents. I don't know if that's true, but he's a good friend of the show, and we're going to just go ahead and give him some love for that nugget. Colin Ray was not just good. He was probably one pitch away from great. was one pitch away from a 7 shutout inning performance. I felt like he was probably stretched out just a little bit too long there, right around the 97 pitch mark, I want to say, when they kept him in. And for that reason, he does give up a 2-run home run. But the 5th inning was the turning point. 0-0 game going in the 5th inning. Cal Quantrill, who came in with a 7.71 ERA. You wanted to see the Cubs jump all over him. They didn't. But then it was the 5th inning tie that stood out to me, not because of the 5 spot, which, by the way, is the first time since last Monday that they have had an inning of at least 3 runs or more. First time in 7 games, 3 runs or more in 1 inning. For an offense that's leading the majors or has been leading the majors, that's a pretty interesting stat. Nico leads off with a single, steals second base. We haven't said that in a long time. Just getting a guy on and moving him over right away. That was a big thing to me. It kind of felt like Quantrill got his attention off of Dansby and on to Nico during that at bat, and that ended up being a 2-run home run just served up to Dansby. I think it's the first pimp job I've ever seen him do on a home run. I mean, he knew that thing was gone right away. 5th inning continued. Kyle Tucker hits a 2-out RBI triple, and that put the Cubs into the cycle for the inning. The team hit the cycle in the inning. And then next batter is Seiya Suzuki, 2-run home run, his 10th of the year. The Cubs have 3 guys with 10 home runs and
Incredible.
1 far behind, and Carson Kelly, I believe, with 8. That's pretty impressive for just a few games into May. Again, Derek Hill hit a 2-run home run off of Ray, and then Palencia and Pomeranz absolutely shut the door. 2 1/3 combined for 2 base runners, and Drew Pomeranz gets his first save, get this, since 2020. He had 4 during the shortened season. Ty, my question to you, man. Daniel Palencia now is 13 innings pitched this season, a 1.38 ERA. In his last 7 games, 7 1/3, just 1 stinking hit and 9 strikeouts. Porter Hodge, really, if you throw out 2 bad outings, he has been the same guy we've seen last year. But those 2 bad outings, you can't throw them out. So at what point do we kind of start to say, hey, Ryan Pressly not doing the job, Porter Hodge up and down? Do you get Daniel Palencia maybe a legitimate look at closer with that 101 fastball?
Well, it's the struggle he has had, as many Cub fans have probably already know this, has been command in the past. And when you have a 100-mile-per-hour fastball, unfortunately, it wasn't just erratic; it was scary. With some of the at-bats that he had and just certain situations, and it felt like he actually, really, Kyle, he never really got to any form of promise. Any point in the past. I mean, realistically, I've never felt comfortable with Daniel Palencia on the mound. And that all changed for me on Saturday when he was facing the Mets, brought into a situation where I believe he started the inning. And unfortunately, I think a walk or 2, and that led to a very difficult situation for him, right? And ultimately, he was able to get out of that inning. I believe he struck out Juan Soto on a disgusting changeup. I apologize, folks. If I'm wrong, make sure you comment and tell me I'm wrong. But I've seen a guy now that has really started to control his fastball at an elite level. And you saw it with Craig Counsell even afterwards on Saturday, acknowledging him in the dugout. And I felt like that was something that I don't see a lot from Counsell unless they don't actually just picture the camera over to the pitcher. I don't know about you, Kyle. I don't see that. But I'm starting to see a guy where you're building up the confidence, right? But I trust him in a save situation. I think against these teams in this 21-game stretch, I actually would. If we were still in the stretch that we were, I probably would hold off for maybe a couple more outings for him to be able to dial it in.
Yeah.
But realistically, he embarrassed the Marlins hitters tonight. Embarrassed them. And he's going to have the opportunity to close here in the near future. And I hope he does earn that opportunity. I'm just glad that it's in a stretch like this, and it was fun to watch him pitch tonight.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm just kind of looking at some of his stats for his first 3 seasons. You know, he's never pitched in a full season, but in 2023, 27 games, 33 strikeouts and 14 walks. So just basically a little bit better than a 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. For a back-end bullpen guy, I kind of want to see more 3-to-1. But with that stuff, he can kind of get away with some walks here and there. But like you said, it's when he comes off the hinges where it's like, hey, now Now you've walked 2 plus giving up an infield single, and it's like, he's still a young guy. So I'm with you on that. What to you was your impression just the first 5 innings of this game before the Cubs went on their little tear there? What did you feel like was either not going well for the offense? Because up until that inning, right, this has been an actual conversation that the Cubs offensively have not looked all that good in the last 7 games. And if you take out the 5th inning today, they basically were scoreless. So I just don't want to see this trend continue. So was there anything you were picking up on against a guy who hasn't had much success this year in Quantrill that was alarming to you from an approach standpoint?
I would say that I personally, it feels this way in a lot of games lately. It feels like the first 4 or 5 innings, we really struggled to put anything on the board. And I sense that this team is trying to do a little too much, maybe with some of their at-bats right now. And I don't feel as if there is this approach of next guy up mentality.
Yeah,
and I really do hope that, when the team is all collectively back together, we can get Happer back at the top. I don't know about you, Kyle. PCA leadoff has been okay, an okay experience. I'm glad he's been able to experience it. Wouldn't mind if he got to experience it a few more games, but that won't happen, of course, as Council alluded to, that Happer will be back in the leadoff position. But to answer your question, Kyle, I just feel like there hasn't been that identity, and I feel like a guy like Kyle Tucker, while maybe the numbers may show that he's actually done a good job, I don't feel like he's really had the moment like he did tonight that really set me to say, okay, like if he gets hot during this stretch, 15 games is underrated. Like I'm looking at even a better stretch than that, because that's how dominant of a player he can be in those moments. So I'd like to see him do that a little bit more.
I posted the video earlier this morning. It was something like, I'm going off memory at this point, the first 25 games he was batting like 320. And then the last 16, not including today, it was like 183 or something like that. I mean, it's been a really rough stretch. I think the reason that we don't notice it as much with Kyle Tucker is he still has put up some slug during that time. He's hit 3 home runs during those 16 games, which is not bad. But he also has walked more than he struck out during those 16 games as well. So it's not like a PCA slump where you're just going to see him, flailing all over the place at just any pitch that gets thrown at him. So I think it gets a little bit hidden. But one of the things that I noticed as I was kind of doing a deeper dive earlier today was like from a walks per game standpoint, this team isn't necessarily like seeing a huge night and day difference when they were clicking offensively versus not clicking offensively. But I don't know how to look this up, but I have a very like solid gut feeling that the pitches per at bat has gone down dramatically, especially against starters. The first like 3 weeks there, Ty, I felt like every starter was in like 60 pitches in the 3rd inning, 70 pitches, 80 pitches in the 4th inning. And we were getting them out of there before they could even qualify for a win, let alone get out of there feeling like they weren't on a safety boat. Now it's kind of like tonight, Cal Quantrill, he ended up throwing, I believe it was 83 pitches. He did not make it through the 5th inning, but it was mainly just because the wheels came off for him. He ended up throwing, pitches 83 exactly. For a guy who threw 83 pitches and only 46 of them were strikes. So 46 strikes, 37 balls. I mean, that just to me shows like, okay, there should be more walks. There should be some deeper counts. And I felt like we were just letting him off the hook a lot early on just because of the lack of really trying to work and grind out some at-bats. Is that what you saw?
I do see that a lot, and I've seen that quite frequently because you really only have a few hitters right now that have selectively good at-bats. And I think Kyle Tucker still continues to have great at-bats. I mean, realistically, he's definitely not seeing the pitches that he needs, and he's probably missing them a little bit here and there. But generally speaking, like PCA swings at everything. Seiya Suzuki has one at bat where he's seeing it extremely well, but majority of the time he's swinging at everything under the sun. Carson Kelly is not going to be able to continue the stretch he has. Guys like Nico Horner, Dansby Swanson, and then hopefully Matt Shaw here in the future, like they need to, obviously continue to do what they're doing. But at the end of the day, I feel like we're seeing like this identity now, like almost like a PCA, where it's like we're just going to attack because we've had the success that we've had, but realistically, like that's how they won and had a great stretch like they did, Kyle, was because they had the ability to work walks. And I remember looking at those stats and saying, wow, this team is elite offensively. So, hopefully they can relax a little bit on this 21 game stretch, and hopefully good things are to come. I know we're going to probably go into some other segments here. I just really quickly want to give a shout out to Dansby Swanson. Yeah. Number 2, before tonight's game, it's stats upon all our shortstops in baseball. Number 2 in runs, number 4 in total bases, number 6 in RBIs. Now, after tonight's game, he's now tied for the most home runs in the big leagues at 9 with none other than Francisco Lindor. And then also before tonight's game, last 5 games, he has just as many walks as strikeouts at 4. So he has been something that my mind can't comprehend what the 8-hole has done for this for him as a ball player.
Yeah.
I don't know if also saw that him and Mallory are pregnant, so congratulations to them. That was a huge boost. I'm going to give them love on that side as well. So like maybe like all these things are working out for him, and I just wanted to make sure I gave him his flowers because he's been tremendous.
Yeah, and I failed to mention that earlier on when I was talking about our amazing 10 home run hitters, and I failed to mention that Dansby was just one behind Seiya, PCA, and Tucker with 9. I would say, just to add to what you're saying here, I don't know the mental side of it. It has to have been something, because it was immediately as soon as he was moved down to the 8th spot, now back at the 7th spot more consistently as of recently. But when he came in 2023 and had that really hot start to the Cubs, it didn't include slug. He was just getting on base a lot. He was slapping the ball to the right side a lot. I mean, he lined out at 103, and that was really the only reason he didn't have 3 hits tonight. And it's just every single night, multi-hit game. I mean, less than 2 weeks ago, this guy, we were talking about like how this was the worst contract in baseball because he was hitting close to 170. Now he's up to 248 with a 775 OPS. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6th on the team in OPS for a team that's all hitting really extremely well. And he was last on the team essentially from an OPS standpoint. I mean, this has been really fun and definitely the best that we've seen. It's, I would say, over exceeding expectations. So I expect there to be some regression. But if Dansby Swanson can even be a 230 hitter with a 740 OPS and play that kind of defense, that's a win.
Absolutely.
Cool. So we want to move over to some diamond notes. First of all, the boring stuff. Caleb Thielbar reinstated from the paternity list. Not boring in the fact that it was a great life situation for him. Congratulations to Caleb and his wife. But Gavin Hallowell, I should say, is optioned yet again back down to AAA after yet again having a pretty good stint up here in the majors. But what we want to talk about now is Taylor McGregor mid-game said Ian Happ is ramping up. He's had that oblique issue. He kind of felt something in the Mets game. I believe it was Friday, and they're just being cautious with him. They said that they will determine in the next day or so whether there will be an IL stint, which, by the way, IL can be as little as 10 games, which basically means he would only miss another 4 or 5 and then come right back in the lineup. This is a bit triggering for me, Ty, because I just think of all the times in the last year. Most recently, Ryan Presley has his knee drained. We don't see him pitch for over a week again. And then he comes into a pretty major situation and implodes against the Giants. Cody Bellinger, one day doesn't have fractured ribs. The next day he does. And it took like 4 days for them to figure that situation out back in last year. Dansby having a knee situation, not being IL'd. Nico, I can't remember quite what it was. I want to say it was a wrist thing. I don't remember, but he wasn't IL'd. And it just feels like there's a continuing trend here. Meanwhile, you've got Moises Ballesteros hitting 368, slashing 368, 420, 522, and he's 4 for his last 9 down in Iowa. you saw two catchers in the lineup tonight. Wouldn't you just want to say, hey, Ian, it's an oblique thing. Let's just give you some rest. Let's bring up Moises. Let's keep the Carson and Amaya rest thing going while Moises DHs. Is that just too simple? Is that asking for too simple of a solution there, Ty?
Well, Kyle, I will ask you for a favor here. So
Okay.
my understanding is that Moises Ballesteros by the end of 2025 needs to be added to the 40-man roster. Otherwise, he is a Rule 5 pick. Now, if that's something you can look up in the meantime, I appreciate, but that's what I saw, and I just want to make sure I'm not reporting something that's inaccurate.
If it's not accurate, it's definitely within a year, plus or minus a year.
So my thinking on all of this, there's two parts, right? There's the frustration aspect of what this organization feels like they seem to really, I don't even know when you call it mess up, because we don't necessarily know the severity of the health issues that these players are experiencing. But normal organizations, in my eyes, have really just made things very simple and just said, hey, this guy's dealing with an issue. We're going to throw him on the 10-day IL. We're going to bring another guy up. This is how we're going to move forward. The Cubs have been known in the eyes of many fans and across baseball is an organization that seems to delay things a little bit. And I really, honestly, Kyle, I don't know why. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me as to, are they trying to, push things along quicker so then the player can come back? I don't think that's necessarily a healthy way to go about things, because, Ian Happ, we don't need him having this lingering issue for the rest of the year. So just set the stage right there and say you're going on a 10-day IL, and we're going to bring up either Kevin Alcantara if they want to have another outfielder because he's already on the 40-man, or going your route of going the Moises Ballesteros route. So there's that. So now back to the part that I mentioned earlier, like, you are in win now mode. You want a bat off the bench in these critical moments because you need to win as many games as possible in this stretch. And you can easily do that with having as much talent off your bench later in games to handle maybe some of these bullpens that aren't necessarily too easy to face. So bringing a guy like Moises Ballesteros up instead of a guy at the plate like a Justin Turner, or John Birdie, a Vidal Brujan, and Nicky Lopez puts you in a position where now the bullpen from the other teams has to be used more strategically, and they can't just feel a little bit more comfortable being able to throw against, those names that I just alluded to. So I'd like to see them DFA Thomas Cosgrove if they can. I know it's easier said than done. That's a name that I wanted to throw out there as a potential candidate. They cannot put Ryan Brazier on the 60-day IL, especially with the fact that he's already in his rehab assignment. So moving forward, yes, Moises Ballesteros would be a better ad. And also, too, as we discussed, it's just frustrating overall that these things linger. And imagine if we lost tonight, right? It's just these things like winning on the margins also needs to come from the general manager and the organization.
Well, and that's where I'm at. And I want to address this comment because Rich, good friend of the show, just got knocked down a comment there. Meant to hit you. There we go. If Happ goes on the IL, and by the way, Rich has a great beat on the minor league stuff. So this isn't just a fan saying something. This is someone who's close to the minor league team. If Happ goes on the IL, it will probably be Casey or Alcantara. I doubt they will make the 40-man for Ballesteros right now. And I think where it comes down to, if I'm hearing you right, Ty, and I think we share in this sentiment, is why not make the room for your best minor league hitter each of the last 3 seasons? He was the minor league player of the year each of the last 2 years. I get he's young. I get you have a little bit more flexibility with him versus Alcantara and Casey, but and I'm actually going to say I don't want to see Cosgrove go quite yet. I'd rather just say bye, Brujan. I mean, we've got 2 third basemen and extra outfielders out the wazoo in AAA. You really are just filling a very short-term hole here, and you're not even getting that many opportunities. So I would say DFA Brujan, bring up Ballesteros, and just do what you're doing right now, because you could see tonight Craig Counsell wants both those catchers in the lineup. So you either continue to do that and you put Miggy and Carson Kelly in the lineup, and then Ballesteros is kind of that, like, hey, we'll put you in every third day as a DH, and at least to keep getting you those reps, and then you're a bat off the bench. Or you keep Amaya in the lineup and put Carson on the bench and put Ballesteros in DH, and then just have the catchers rotating while Ballesteros stays as DH so that you can continue to get them rest. If we're in a win now mode, why would we not do that? And that really is the question, is just why not? If it's because you're taking up a 40-man spot, I don't buy it at this point, because we've seen Jed move with a lot of urgency this year, whether he wants to or not. And in this situation, I just think don't risk Ian Happ having a situation like Javier Assad did, where he gets pulled back into action too soon, re-aggravates the oblique even worse. And now we're wondering, well, who's going to fill the spot long-term in the outfield? We really want Seiya Suzuki being an everyday left fielder? I don't know. That's a question for you guys to answer for yourself. But that's why I'm just like, we're in early in the season. Like, why not just try this? Why not? Do you have an answer for that? Is there one good reason you would not do this, Ty? Sorry, I threw that out left field, but I really do want to know that.
The thing that I'm struggling with the Ballesteros situation is the idea of him not developing as a catcher when he's up at the big league level.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But the devil's advocate side of that is win now mode and try to see what you can squeeze out of him this year. And the value too is that he's up with Amaya and Kelly and learning the game from that aspect as well, and being able to work behind the scenes in there. Look, I think this organization is at a point this year that they're doing things on a desperation level. And if they make a move like this, I'm not going to be as surprised as I would have prior to the season, based on the fact of where they are in the standings.
Cool. I think that's about all we have to talk about it. Fact of the matter is, Cubs are in a really good spot. They won tonight. They stay ahead of the randomly hot Cardinals, who won their 9th game in a row tonight. Still 1 game up in the division. Don't see that lasting too long, as I maybe eat my words. We'll see in a month or so. Let's go to our break commercial, and we'll be right back to talk about tomorrow's game. Setup Nation, I want to take a quick break so that you know how you can support our channel and wear some cool swag like this. We've teamed up with Obvious Shirts to give you a chance to have your very own Setup Man shirt or hat, picked from 3 different types of shirts, or my personal favorite, the trucker hat. Go to the link in the description of this video and podcast to claim your Setup Man apparel. And thank you so much for supporting our channel. All right, and I want to give a little shout out to our brand new look Cubs Talk Dugout episode that is going to be up on our Facebook group on Thursday. If you have not joined our Facebook group, by the way, go ahead and join. There's a link down below. If you're not on Facebook, sorry, but if you are, we would love to engage with you. Our new look dugout show on this Thursday is going to be actually the entire Setup Man crew, minus Ty, because he's still having fun in Vegas, but everyone else, and we're going to be having a good time. We have probably the most I laugh all week is when I do these meetings with you guys, and so we're just going to take the idea of the meetings that we do every week and just bring it over to the Facebook group, engage with all of you, give you all a chance to call in as well. So make sure that you go join our Facebook group, which, by the way, I think the link currently is not down in the description, but on the replay, it will be down in the description. Tomorrow's game, Cubs now at 24-18, Miami now at 15-25. Valiente Belloso versus Ben Brown. Had to look up the pronunciation for that. Maybe got it right. Maybe not. I'll ask my wife, as she knows I'm the gringo in the family. 3.50 ERA from Belloso at an 0-2 record and 18 innings pitched. In 17 games in his career, he has a 3-6 record, a 3.63 ERA, just south of 100 innings pitched at 86 2/3. He has 1 appearance against the Cubs, and it was a loss. 4 2/3 innings, 6 runs, 5 earned, gave up 3 home runs. So would love to just deliver that right back to him again. And Ty, I got a feeling that the Cubs bats need to be on tomorrow. Here's a few nuggets about their starter, Ben Brown, who on the season has a 4.95 ERA, 36 1/3 innings pitched, does have 3 wins, but also 3 losses at Wrigley. This has been the conundrum for Ben Brown this year. 0-3 with a 7.91 ERA. Opponents are hitting 341 against him with a 447 on base and a 447 slug at Wrigley. That is about the Kyle Tucker status at an 894 OPS. His last start was better. 5 innings, 3 earned runs, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks on 6 hits, but still 103 pitches in 5 innings. I think the best word I can use for Ben Brown when he's at Wrigley is it just has not been efficient. So what are you looking for from Ben Brown tomorrow?
Well, Ben Brown has had a schedule for a young pitcher trying to figure it out that I would not have for my worst enemy, or whatever the saying is. But he's faced San Diego, the Dodgers, D-backs, Phillies, Brewers, and Giants. And the Brewers game was in Milwaukee, probably the most anticipated game of the year in the eyes of many Cub fans.
And he dominated it.
Dominated it. Now, the Wrigley woes, interested to see how he handles the Marlins tomorrow. He had 9 strikeouts last time out versus San Francisco, and that's no slouch team. And so I'm interested to see, does he get to that 10 mark? That would be unbelievable. But you could probably use the word, like you said, like he's been inefficient. So hopefully tonight he took a seat in, whether it was the bullpen or the dugout, hopefully it was the dugout, and he got to see Colin Ray be what we would call efficient. And I would say utilizing, doesn't have the pitch arsenal that Colin Ray does, but realistically making sure that he is utilizing his fastball, trying to use it on the edges, but trusting the fact that go and attack dudes when you're down early in the count and don't feel like you have to go to that knuckle curve every single time. Because I guarantee you the Marlins tomorrow are going to be in that position, or are going to be looking for that situation quite a bit. Attack with the fastball and make it worthwhile. Really quick note, Joe, just because I don't want to make sure I thought this was a valuable note to drop for, I'm going to butcher his name, but Beloso. Last time out, he pitched against the Dodgers, 5 1/3, 1 hit, 2 walks, 7 Ks in Miami. So, but just want to make sure I drop that nugget. He's not necessarily going to blow you away. He's low 90s fastball, uses his cutter quite a bit more actually than his fastball. So that's something to watch out for. But really quick, back to Ben Brown, just be the guy that we all see you can be. You've faced a lot of really difficult competition this year, and tomorrow is an opportunity for you to reset. And honestly, he didn't look that bad last time out against San Francisco. So my hope is that he's efficient. It doesn't look like it's going to be crappy weather tomorrow. It looks like it's going to be a nice 73 degrees, maybe by game time a little bit lower than that. So hopefully he just goes out there and just competes, and I can see him having a very good game against Miami.
Well, and the question's been, what has been impacting Brown at Wrigley? And some people think he's just too amped up. Some people think it's the conditions, meaning the cold weather. So tomorrow being a nice day against a not so very good team, if he has a bad outing tomorrow, then you can probably throw that theory out the window. But we're rallying, we're crossing our fingers, we're throwing up prayers that Ben Brown has an amazing start, because the Cubs need great starting pitching right now. So go do your thing tomorrow, Ben Brown. Ty and I are going to go do our thing right now and put our arms on ice. Thanks for joining us for the Setup Man post-game show. Go Cubs, go!